Welcome to this recording of How to Be More Likable. This insightful discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the First Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in Encinitas, California on August 20th, 1939. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. Some persons are born with a likable nature. Everyone is attracted to them. Some are never liked. Others are neither liked nor disliked. They are just ignored. Why? Impartial God is not responsible for the uneven distribution of attractive qualities. The differences in each man's character are of his own cultivation. He himself has created those pleasant or unpleasant qualities in this or in past lives. It would be a great injustice if God were responsible for starting off some children with the advantage of likable good qualities and others with a handicap of obnoxious bad qualities. But it is not He who has established bad tendencies in some children and good in others. Therefore, we cannot hold God accountable. God creates all men equal, made in His image. In order to see the justification of man's seeming inequalities, we must understand the law of reincarnation. Knowledge of this law was buried and forgotten during the Dark Ages. Jesus spoke of reincarnation when he said, "Elias is come already, and they knew him not." Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. The soul appearing in one incarnation as Elias, Elijah, had returned in another incarnation as John the Baptist. There would be no meaning to life if it did not afford us sufficient opportunities to develop our potentials and satisfy our desires. Without reincarnation, how does the divine justice operate for those souls who have no chance to express themselves because they are encased in the body of a baby that is born dead, or of one that perhaps lives only to the age of 6? Those souls could hardly be condemned to Hades because they have done nothing to deserve punishment, nor could they go to heaven, having had no opportunity to earn it. The answer is that this earth is a vast schoolhouse, and the law of reincarnation is the justice that brings each man here again and again until he has learned all of life's lessons. Lord Krishna referred to this truth. By diligently following his path, the yogi, perfected by the efforts of many births, is purged of sin or karmic taint, and finally enters the supreme beatitude. Man himself has cultivated his bright and dark qualities. Somewhere, sometime, in this or other lives, the seeds were planted by his own actions. If he permits the seeds of harmful acts to grow, they will crowd out the seeds of good that he has sown. The wise cast out the seeds of evil from the garden of life. Attractiveness comes from within. One should learn to analyze himself and others to determine why some persons are liked by all and others are not. Even among children, we find some whom everyone regards affectionately and others whom everyone avoids. One of the first conclusions from such analysis is that if a person is to become likable, he must make himself more attractive from within. Sometimes, even the most physically attractive person may be repellent because of the inner ugliness reflected in his speech and actions. At one time, the secret of popularity was supposed to be it, a kind of physical appeal and magnetism, but having it does not necessarily make one likable. Our good or bad traits determine whether and by whom we are liked or disliked. Evil attracts evil, good attracts good. It is not what we should want, but the kind of magnetism that will draw good to us, that will bring sincere friends and merited admiration. Can externals such as clothes and a pretty or handsome face give us this kind of attractiveness? No, it has to be created within. There is no unpleasantness in being grave, but your expression is quite different when you are indulging in a dark mood. Your face is a mirror that reveals every change of feeling. Your thoughts and emotions, like waves, ebb and flow in the facial muscles, continuously altering your appearance. Everyone you meet sees and reacts to these facial expressions of what you are inwardly thinking and feeling. You can fairly well control your eyes and your smile, and thus conceal your feelings from some, but not from all. Lincoln rightly said, It is true that you may fool all the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all of the people all the time. In our eyes is the entire history of our life. It cannot be concealed from those who know how to read it. There are spiritual eyes, half-spiritual eyes, dishonest eyes, sensual eyes. What one does is written there. If I were to analyze what I see in a person's eyes, he would be astonished at my accuracy. Never do anything that taints your mind. Wrong actions cause negative or evil mental vibrations that are reflected in your whole appearance and personality. Engage in those actions and thoughts that nurture the good qualities you want to have. If you conduct yourself in accord with the truths I am telling you, you will find your life beautifully different. You are judged largely by the way you conduct yourself. One is judged somewhat by his dress, but largely by the way he conducts himself. Always be clean and trim in appearance. Avoid overdressing. Fussy clothes and accessories make one look like a museum piece. Clothe yourself simply and neatly, and as befits your personality. But first of all, learn good behavior. Once you have developed your mind and cultivated appealing inner virtues, dress becomes less important. Mahatma Gandhi has proved that clothes alone do not make the man. He wears only a loincloth by way of identifying himself with the simple masses of India. There, he once arrived thus clad for a party that was being given by an English governor. The servants would not let him in. He returned home and sent a package by messenger to the governor. It contained a suit. The governor called him at his home and asked the meaning of the package. The great man replied, "I was invited to your party, but I wasn't allowed entrance because of my dress. Therefore, I have sent my suit instead." The governor, of course, insisted that he come. Even in London, Gandhi went to call on the King and Queen of England, clad only in his loincloth. He had transcended the clothes' personality. Now, I am not recommending this mode of dress. Gandhi has a mission to fulfill, and this is a part of his role. If one becomes as great as Gandhi, he also may do as he sees fit. The point is, one should not think all the time about the body, nor should he be careless of it. To give the body too little or too much attention makes one become unbalanced, fanatical. Look after the body in a reasonable way, and remember always what is most important, your mentality, your behavior. Give more attention to the mind, the springboard of your behavior, for that is what most persons respond to. When with others, be sincere and thoughtful. Be interested in others. When you are by yourself, you have a right to think and do what you want to, but when you are with others, you should not be absent-minded or uninterested. The company of a corpse would be preferable to that of an absent-minded person. The indifference of a corpse bears no insult. When you are in the company of others, be with them wholeheartedly. But when your interest in being with them lags, make a polite excuse and withdraw. You have no right to remain while your mind is absent. Be genuinely amiable when you are with others. Never be a sourpuss. You don't have to laugh boisterously like a hyena, but don't wear a long face either. Just be smiling, congenial, and kind. Smiling on the outside when you are angry or resentful inside, however, is hypocrisy. If you want to be likable, be sincere. Sincerity is a soul quality that God has given to every human being, but not all express it. Above all, be humble. Though you may have admirable inner strength, don't overwhelm others with your strong nature. Be calm and considerate of them. This is the way to develop likable magnetism. Strive always to be understanding. Some people choose to be quarrelsome and to misunderstand us no matter what we say or do. They go about with a chip on their shoulder. To draw real friends, one must cultivate understanding. True friends understand one another no matter what they do. You should be like that. What is life unless you have the right kind of friends around you? There is a magnet in your heart that will attract true friends. That magnet is unselfishness, thinking of others first. Very few persons are free from self-centeredness. Yet one can develop the quality of unselfishness very easily if he practices thinking of others first. A mother usually has this quality. Her life is service. She gives to her husband and children first. Because she always thinks of others before herself, others think of her. That is the tradition in the homes in India. We are taught the same spirit in the ashrams of real spiritual teachers. Consideration for others is a most wonderful quality. It is the greatest attractiveness you can have. Practice it. If someone is thirsty, a thoughtful person anticipates his need and offers him a drink. Consideration means awareness of and attentiveness to others. A considerate person, when in the company of others, will have an intuitive awareness of their needs. There are those who would say, "I am a devout man," yet if someone else sat in their church pew, they would be ready to take off the intruder's head. Once in a while, I see this sort of incident in my classes. If another person wants your seat, give it, even though you must stand. By your exemplary behavior, you will have someone else thinking considerately of you every day. When you learn to live for others, they will live for you. When you live for yourself, no one is interested in you. You can best attract others by your good actions. If you look around you when you attend a party, you will almost always notice some guests who are openly envious of what others have. No one wants to be with thoughtless, selfish people, but everyone is glad to be with a tactful, considerate person. Practice consideration in your speech as well as in your actions, and when you feel tempted to speak harshly, control that impulse and talk calmly instead. Let no one hear harsh words from you. Be not afraid to speak truth when you are asked to do so, but do not force your thoughts on others. Remember also, it may be truth to speak of the blind man as a blind man or the sick man as a sick man, but it is better to avoid such bluntness. By the kindness and consideration of your speech, you help to uplift others and make them better. It isn't always your words that others listen to, however, but the strength and sincerity behind them. When a sincere man speaks, the world moves. When he says something, others listen. Some persons talk on and on, hoping to convince the hearer by the steady barrage of words. But the captive listener is only thinking, "Please let me go." When you talk, don't talk too much about yourself. Try to speak on a subject that interests the other person. And listen. That is the way to be attractive. You will see how your presence is in demand. My mother was considerate in that way. Fathers and mothers should never talk against one another to the children. They should keep their troubles completely to themselves. My parents had that self-control. They were really like gods. Only once did I see trouble between my father and mother. All that we children knew was that a carriage was at the door and our mother was going away. Uncle came in and asked Father, "What is the matter?" Father said, "I have no objection to her spending money for her charities. I only ask that she not spend beyond my income." Uncle whispered something in Father's ear. After a few conciliatory words from Father, Mother sent the carriage away. She never said a word against Father. She was always thinking of others. It is a joy to live for others. When I am alone, I have hardly any impulse to eat, but when I am with others, I like to fix appetizing dishes for them. I saw that same characteristic in my guru, Swami Sri Yukteswarji. During my first visits to his ashram, I gained the impression that he always had savory food to eat. But once I went there, when he didn't expect me, and I saw he was having the plainest meal imaginable, I questioned him about it. "I don't have special dishes except when you come," he replied. "I like to prepare them for you." Once a fellow college student accompanied me to the market to buy some pineapples. There were only two. One was larger than the other. I bought both of them and handed the large one to my friend. He was so surprised. He thought I had intended to keep that one for myself. A wonderful feeling arises within a person when he is considerate of others, thinking first of them. As soon as you are concerned for someone else, not only does he think of you, but God thinks of you too. If you are thoughtful, doing for others all the time, then even if you part with your last penny to help them, God will return even more blessings to you. Another thing to remember, Each one of you has some special quality, a uniqueness that others have not. Also, each one is richer or poorer in some way than others are. If you are unselfish, good-tempered, understanding, you are richer than those who are selfish and angry and jealous. Perfect balance is the altar of God. Mankind is like a large zoo, so many people behaving so differently, most of them having no real control over themselves. But before one can realize the true goal of life, he has to have that self-control. He must seek balance. Perfect balance is the altar of God. Strive for this, and once you have attained it, never lose it. Christ did not lose it when he was being nailed to the cross. He said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The ordinary person cannot bear his tests. When I started on the spiritual path, I supposed that only good would happen to me, but I found that many difficult experiences also came. Then I reasoned, because I love God so deeply, I have expected too much from him. From now on, I will say, "Lord, let thy will be done." I wanted to accept whatever he sent my way, and he always showed me how to be victorious in every test. Even death is nothing to the spiritually strong. I once dreamed I was dying. Nevertheless, I was praying to him, "Lord, it is all right, whatever is thy will." Then he touched me, and I realized the truth. How can I die? The wave cannot die. It sinks back into the ocean and comes forth again. The wave never dies, and I can never die. When you go to a clothing store, you try to find a garment that is suited to you, that brings out the best in you. You should do the same for your soul. The soul has no particular apparel. It can don any style it wants to. The body is limited, but the soul can put on any kind of mental dress, any kind of personality. If you think deeply about any person, study his history, and consciously imitate his personality, you will begin to be like him. You will establish your identity with that personality. I have practiced this, and I can take on any personality I wish. When I put on the personality of wisdom, I can talk of nothing but wisdom. When I adopt the personality of Sri Chaitanya, a great devotee of God, I can speak of nothing but devotion. And when I attune myself to the personality of Jesus, I cannot speak of God as mother, only as the Father, as he did. The soul can adopt any mental dress it admires or desires, and change that dress as often as it pleases. When you meet a wonderful person, don't you wish you were like him? Think of all the noble qualities that are in the hearts of great men and women. You can have them all in your own heart. You can be humble and strong, or brave like a general fighting for a righteous cause. You can have the conquering will of Genghis Khan, or the divine will and love and surrender of St. Francis. Seek God and be victorious in life. Above all, develop the will to seek God no matter what the obstacles. Then you will be victorious in life. When I am trying to do something for the work, and many trials come, I sometimes think, why should I have to go through this? I have found God. I don't need these things for myself. But then I tell him, I will accept whatever comes to me. I care not what people think of me, because one day they are with me, the next day they are against me. Your pleasure is my pleasure. Your assurance is my assurance. Emulate the consciousness of the great ones, such as Christ. Realize his omnipresence. The Father gave Jesus that universal consciousness by which he knows all things. Even as I am talking, he knows what I am saying. Though you don't see him, I see him. He is right here, a great light transforming this temple. Everyone here is within that light which I see. We are like waves in the ocean of that light, the light of Christ consciousness, the light of God. When you see his light and his presence, then you know that this life is nothing more than a test that everyone must go through to reach God. If Satan's tests are conquered, then even Satan becomes the tool of God. Every trial is a blessing if it brings us nearer to God. This is what you should remember. And whatever you do on earth, do it for God. Each human being is unique. No two can be exactly the same. Think of yourself this way. My personality is the gift of God. What I am, no one else is. I shall be very proud of my divine individuality. I shall improve myself and don a personality of goodness. If you play your part well, you are just as good as the soul who plays the part of a king or queen. And so long as you play your part well, you will be attractive and loved by all. Your part well played is your passport to God. Abraham Lincoln was an accomplished actor on this stage of life. He was not afraid to play his difficult role. He was working for God and for what he believed to be right, the equality of man. That is why he is remembered and loved today. If you strive to serve God, you have served everyone. Seek to please him, not man. What you expect others to be, you be first. Practice these suggestions. Take one quality at a time and work at developing it. From today, for instance, practice peace. Then take cheerfulness. Try to smile even when you are unhappy. Then work at cultivating courage and fearlessness. Some persons are terrified of the dark. If you are one of these, practice going into a dark room until you get over this fear. Develop the consciousness that God is with you. You can be in an impregnable castle, and still disease can get at you there. Yet, you can be on the battlefield with bullets flying all around you. And if your time to leave the body has not come, nothing will hurt you. Practice perfecting sincerity, unselfishness, business ability, and so on. Work at it like the strong-minded martyr who never compromises his ideals. No matter what comes, do not let it bother or deter you. Be like that. Practice consideration and goodness until you are like a beautiful flower that everyone loves to see. Be the beauty that is in a flower and the attractiveness that is in a pure mind. When you are attractive in that way, you will always have true friends. You will be loved by both man and God. As we conclude this discourse on how to be more likable, let us remember Paramahansa Yogananda's timeless guidance. True likability comes from within. By cultivating positive qualities such as sincerity, kindness, and consideration, we can naturally attract love and friendship. It is through self-improvement, unselfishness, and striving to please God above all that we become truly likable, not just to others, but to ourselves and to the divine. Thank you for joining us, and may the blessings of God be with you always.